Hello and welcome back to my Blender 2 Planet Coaster tutorials. The last session we talked about how to actually have two cubes line up nicely with UV unwrap. We're going to stick to the two cubes for individual movements that hopefully we're going to get around to in this session. As you can see, I got everything ready. I got my two cubes ready. I got them selected. I got seams in them, and I got them ready in my UV editor. I've already made the image in the last series, so we're going to open it up for now to be able to see how eventually it will look. So I'm going to move this up a little bit more. If I click on Open, I can go to my desktop where I have my file, click on that, open image, and as you can see, it's right on top of where our cubes are. So I can still move our cubes around. So if I just deselect it in here, and I press L with G, I can still move it around. So the image, we exported the image, colored it in, and because the export is the layout of how that we placed it already in the UV editor, it's going to line up perfectly. So let's let go of it. Now we're going to change the viewport so that we can actually see how it looks on both our cubes. We can do this by going under in here, clicking on the globe. Now it's at this moment it's a solid. We're going to go over to texture. Well, we can't do material and we can't do render because our scene actually has no lighting in it, so it will not render it. If you do want to do that, I suggest you leave the light in so that eventually you can have a look at it. I'm not sure. I think you actually have to tie it up on the side here under color, I think it was. Let me just have a look. Well, it should be here. I'll maybe do it in a different video, explain how I can line it up and eventually make a photo of it in render mode. But for now, we're just going to stick to what we were going to do. So we're going to change this over to texture. And as you can see, both my cubes are textured and nicely, neatly line up perfectly, exact way that I wanted it, and exactly how it's imported into the UV editor. Now, we got both our cubes, we got them colored. So now it's time to actually make vertex groups. The vertex groups are actually going to tell the model or tell the bone where it has to stick to. So if I change this back to solid, and we won't be needing this for now. We'll slide it away for now so that it's out of our way, and we'll go to our object data. Now, if we click in here, you'll also see UV map. It has to do with the UV editor, but we're not going to do anything with that for the moment. I might do this in a separate one. I'm not sure. If you like it, comment on it. Tell me if you want a bit more, me to go a bit more into that. For now, we're going to just make our vertex groups. So I'm going to deselect it, and I'm going to start by making a group. As you can see, it pops up with assign, remove, select, and deselect. So now we want to assign it to the group. So let's say we're going to keep this simple. We're going to call it bone 1. Here we go. We're going to add another one. We're going to call this one bone 2. Now we have two groups already named, but we haven't actually assigned anything to it, because if we click on select, you'll see nothing will happen, deselect. It's not assigned. So we're going to click on the first bone. We're going to make sure that we already selected it. Don't have to, but in my case, I'll do that. And we're going to press on L to select everything that I want to select. So it's this cube. If I do A, then I'll select both cubes. Give me a second, there we go. So we selected one cube for now. What we can do now is assign it to the group. So let's assign it and deselect it. And as you can see, if I press select, it'll be joined up to that group. Say that I already selected it and I want to redo that. I can't press assign again. I have to remove it before I do that. So remove, deselect, select won't work anymore because now I've removed it from that group. So let's reassign it back to it. Now we got it assigned. Let's do it for our other cube also. So let's select one part of it, press L, and we got everything selected. We'll go to bone 2 and we'll click assign. I prefer always to do deselect so that I know for sure that it's connected to it. But now we have our bones or our groups for our bones ready. And now we actually can start by putting an armature or bone into the scene. So as you see, also under our scenes tab, we can see that our cube already has material attached to it. If I click down, you'll see cube color. That's what we filled in under materials. So if I go up, you can see it here. I do have to mention one thing. You don't actually have to change this. You can name it whatever you want, but it won't influence on the eventual material. It won't do anything. It's easier for me at least. It's easier always to just say what the object is. So this is a cube. So it's quite basic and normal that you would call it a cube. I can call this whatever I want really. Cube, nothing, for example. But yeah, this is a more or less, this won't do anything. This is easy for you to understand, and we know that we at least got one material assigned to it. And we know that our vertex groups are made and assigned. You can't actually double click on it. It won't select them. At least I'm not sure in edit mode if it'll do that. No. But we know at least that it's assigned. We can always go back under object data and we can see that we got two groups. Now let's finally get our bone in. So let's go over, we're already in object mode, so let's center our cursor because it'll drop where our center is. So let's do Shift S, cursor to center, and it should drop there. So let's do Shift A, armature, and single bone. And there you go. It's inside the cube. Can be really annoying, but we dropped an armature. We can actually change this really easy because now at the moment I would have to bring it out of the cube, plus I wouldn't know if it's in the center of my cube. We can actually just really easily change this so that we can see the bone by pressing under Armature, press on X-ray, and there we go. We can actually see our bone, our armature. We can actually see it. And as you see, it's created a new group. So we're going to bring up our cube and we're going to bring down our bone menu and our armature and such forth. Now, we have to change our bone name in a minute. What we want to do first, there are two ways you can bring another bone or another armature in it. I do it in the way of just bringing another bone, so duplicating this bone, and it'll automatically fall under armature in this group. I can do that really easy by going to edit mode, tap on tab, there we go, we got it all selected, and then it's Shift D for duplication, and I can bring it anywhere I want, but I want it at its center. So for me, it's right click, it'll jump back to the center, and now I can move it over to my other cube. Of course, try and line it up as much as you can. I can also, like I showed before, subdivide this, so I can make it into separate groups. So say if I use a loop cut around here, I bring in two loop cuts and divide this by 2, then I could put one bone under in and one above. And then technically I could move the top, rotate it around, move it up that way, and the bottom bone won't do anything. It won't deform, only the top bone. It'll still be connected to the bottom bone, but it'll work individually. By the way, I want to mention, don't scale anything up. I've noticed, with me at least, that it starts really getting irritating because we'll have to scale the whole scene, our 2 cubes plus our bones eventually, up to a bigger scale. But for now, just leave it at Blender's, well, the normal settings, default settings. We can actually bring the unit count up under, let's see, units. We're going to do this as one of the last steps to ensure that we don't actually have a bone that's so fucking massive as I don't know what, and a cube that's so small, or the opposite. So just leave it as it is for now. We are, before I'm going to stop with this video, we are going to actually rename our bones. So we know what cube 1 or bone 1 is assigned to. This is bone 1, so that's this cube. And bone 2, or better said vertex group, is this cube. So let's change this bone to bone 1 and bone 2. Oh, do remember to exactly name it as what you named it in the vertex groups. Otherwise, it won't be synced. The bones won't attach to each other. The last thing you want to do is go to parent, click on this, click on cube. And as you can see, it jumps away. I'll be discussing this in the next video, how to get this all sorted out and on the right place. I actually done it wrong, but okay. We'll just flip this around. I've actually done the opposite of what we should do. We should go to Armature, and it won't actually do it now. Go over to Object Mode. No. I'll be discussing this in the next video. For the moment, I can't, it won't actually do it. Thank you for watching, and I hope it has helped, and I'll see you guys in the next video.